Okie dokie, can I just check whether or not the live stream's up and running? Perfect, let's get started then. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us in South Shields today at South Shields Football Club. What an absolutely beautiful day to spend a lot of money improving the North East. It is honestly such a privilege to be here, and thank you so much to the football club for being so accommodating. It's an absolutely amazing venue. You can see some amazing football here at the weekend with fixtures of South Shields FC as well, and so we're really, really grateful. First up, apologies for absence. Today we've got Mayor Karen Clark, who's absent, but we are ably assisted by Councillor Janet Hunter as a substitute. In terms of Chief Executives, Pam Smith is replaced by Sajida. We've got Helen replaced by Philip, and Patrick, who I think is replaced by Jill. So that's our apologies for absence. I've noticed that Claire Williams and Joy Allen are yet to join us. I think we are expecting both, but just in case, we'll note their apologies. Item 2, does anybody have any declarations of interest today? No? Lovely. Obviously, you can do it as we go through. And then just as a little bit of housekeeping, we've got an absolutely massive agenda today for all the right reasons. And so what I'll do is when we get to 3 o'clock, I'll offer a comfort break if people want to have one. We don't need to take it, but it's just to be kind to everybody around the table. Item 3, announcements from the Mayor and the Chief Executive. As I said up front, it is an absolutely beautiful day to create a huge amount of investment in our region. Today we are committing £350 million. This is, taken together, the biggest investment package the North East has ever seen. It's more than we've seen in any recent budgets, and it's dealing with buses, with jobs, with high streets, with gigs, with skills funding. The region is changing from today. It is honestly a huge deal. And so a huge thank you to everybody for all of the work that's gone into getting us to this point. We said that in the North East we wanted to address together the challenges that people face day to day. And today is, as far as I'm concerned, it's delivery day. The world's changing, costs are rising, the cost of living is causing more and more people problems. We're seeing a war in the Middle East that we have no control over, and that's affecting people every single day. And so us putting people in the region in the best possible position for success is critical, more critical now than ever. Today we're announcing more than £100 million in our creative industries. That's the biggest investment in this sector that the region has ever seen. That'll help us to crack on with Crown Works in Sunderland with the Gateshead Quays, as well as supporting smaller venues in every single corner of the North East. It means blockbuster films made on the banks of the Wear, world-class artists performing on the banks of the Tyne and in stages right across our region being geared up for the next generation of local talent and local skills so that people don't have to leave this region to succeed. As Chair of the Great North, I've also written on government this last month to call on them to promise that a future UK Olympic and Paralympic bid will be based in the North, because the North is ready to do this. And we've seen huge success from sporting stars across our region. Only yesterday, the Monkton Stadium was renamed the Steve Cram Stadium, which is a really proud moment for South Tyneside and showing our sporting prowess. And then we continue to make the case for the North, continue to make the case for the North East. Just today, after continuing to make that case and shout about what we are so good at and shout about what it is that we need, we've seen government, Rachel Reeves, as we speak, in her Mace lecture, announce an extra £120 million that we can invest in the North East to go further and faster in creating jobs and regenerating our cities and towns and creating more homes for local people. And we should not forget that 2 years ago, the region simply would not have got that money because we just didn't have a mayor and we didn't have a mayoral strategic authority. This is what devolution means to people day to day. This is about how we take that money that was being devolved to us and we turn it into direct delivery so the people of the region can feel the difference. This is going to be more money for our region and more decisions made locally about how we spend this money. The last two things I just want to say, this is our last Cabinet meeting before we head into the local elections. So I just want to put on record a huge thank you to everybody around the table for the huge amount of work that you've put into helping us get to where we are, and good luck with the elections in May. I also want to say a huge thank you. Obviously, I did miss some time to have an operation and to recover, and I know a lot of you stepped into the breach and took up more work to support with that, and I'm very grateful. So thank you very much, and it is great to be back, and it's great to be back particularly today as we enter a really exciting, positive phase of delivery for the people of the region. Henry, do you have any comments?
Chair, you've rightly noted the scale of work that's gone into creating the agenda today, so I just wanted to put on record my thanks to the Combined Authority team, to my team, but also to the wider team across the region for the shift they've put in getting here. So thanks from me too.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments? No, lovely. Item 4, minutes of the previous meeting. So this was held in my absence on Tuesday, the 3rd of February. Does anyone have any questions, comments, or any changes to the minutes? Are we happy to agree them? Excellent. Item 5 is bus reform. So this is the approval to progress to the franchising scheme assessment. Again, I've been very open about what I think needs to happen with the buses. We've called for bringing our buses back under public control, and we got on with that process on day one in office back in May 2024. We know that the buses are the lifeblood of our North East. They run through the Durham villages, through to the city centres, out into our rural areas, connecting people with jobs, connecting people with education, connecting people with opportunity. Bus travel is about so much more than getting from A to B. It is about creating that infrastructure of opportunity. But we have seen bus services decline, we've seen services cut, we've seen routes disappeared and communities almost cut off. Change has to come. We've got to do something about this. We deserve an affordable, reliable system with the best possible rural bus network in the country. But at the moment, as we currently stand, we're a long way from that. We're making the interventions that we can now. We're capping the fares with Mayor's fares, £2.50 for adults, £1 for young people, and that's seen a massive uplift in the number of people getting the bus. And we can't forget that more people use the bus than any other form of public transport in this region every single day. And so, as I said, I've made no secret of what I want to see, but now this is about progressing to the next stage of the franchising process, into the legal process, and allowing the public to have their say in this consultation. So with that, I'll hand over to Martin Gannon to take us through the report, please.
Well, thank you, Kim. I think, as you've already outlined, there's nothing more important in terms of this authority. Public transport, and the best part about it is it's a misnomer in some ways. You know, people talk about public transport, and we as local authorities get criticised the quality of public transport and the way public transport has declined over the last 40 years. It's not public transport, they are private companies that operate the buses. But what they do is, at the present time, they operate those buses with considerable public subsidy, right? We've all had presentations around the regions to our cabinets about the importance of this. And, you know, we have seen a decline over the last 40 years. And currently, in terms of public funding into the bus operators, I think the current figure is about £119 million. So we have £119 million coming from the council taxpayers, our residents, to provide them with a service which is in decline. And as we've seen from the projections going forward, if we do nothing, that decline continues. So we have the highest level of dependency on buses, lowest level of private car ownership of any region in the UK. But even that doesn't tell the full story. I mean, my household has a car. I'm the only one with a driving licence. So my daughter, who's 23-year-old, and my wife, who don't drive, are entirely reliant on public transport or me to drive them. And that's the same in most households. And the impact of that is it absolutely cripples the quality of people's lives. Access to training, access to education opportunities, access to cultural opportunities, access to employment. I mean, I often say I live on probably the most profitable bus route in the whole of the northeast of England. I live right in the centre of Low Fell, and the 21 bus runs, I think, every 6 or 8 minutes through the centre of Low Fell, which is great. But if you want to get to the Queen Elizabeth Hospital, which is a quarter of a mile away up the hill, it's a completely different story. The operators, I'm not criticising them, they have to make profits, right? And they will only operate buses where they can make money. And other than that, what they then want is subsidy from the public purse. Now, we provide funding in terms of the concessionary fare scheme and all the other concessions that we provide, and then the secured routes as well. But as I've said, the report is absolutely clear that if we do nothing, the decline that has taken place over the last 40 years, other than the very recent turn that we've had from the Mayor's fares and the interventions that we're making through the Bus Service Improvement Partnership. But other than that, that decline over the next 40 years will increase substantially. So we face the prospect of yet greater amounts of public subsidy going in to maintain a declining public service. I mean, I'm sure there are a range of options, okay? But for me, it seems absolutely clear that and our responsibility is to the residents who elect us to provide them with the services that they require. Not least, the Mayor was elected on this, right? This is, I think, in terms of manifesto commitment, the top priority, determined to deliver it. But notwithstanding that as a manifesto commitment, I understand the Mayor wanting to deliver on that, but to all of us as local authority leaders, I don't have a mayoral mandate. I'm elected to represent the people of Gateshead, Durham, South Tyneside, Sunderland, wherever. It is in our residents' best interests. It's about regulation. It's about we being in control of how that public subsidy is spent to get the maximum benefit. It's not about nationalisation of the buses. It's not about taking the buses into public ownership, right, okay? I hear these things get mentioned all over the place, right? It's about ensuring that our residents get the best possible service for the money that they are putting in. The buses will continue to be run by private operators, but we will set out a contract and put that out to the most suitable provider through the procurement process, with very stringent conditions about delivery of service. Because going off on a tangent again, but one of the biggest complaints I get, and I'm sure it's the same for other councillors, the biggest complaint that we get is about the lack of reliability. How many of us get phone calls all of the time telling us about the bus didn't turn up again and therefore I've had to wait another hour for another bus? And in those sorts of circumstances, people can't rely on the buses, and those who can get a car, and those who can't have their lives damaged and diminished as a consequence of it. So, as I say, there's a range of options. We will go through the process. We will do the full evaluation. We will make the decision with all the available best evidence. For me, absolutely 100% the right thing we need to do. It's in the interests of our residents, and it'll mean transformational change, not just for the residents, but for their life chances. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And absolutely, this is about taking the next steps so that we can get to a point where our residents have more of a say and more control over their buses. I should say up front, before I kind of commence with a wider discussion, we've got a split paper here. So we've got the headlines of this paper and the decision to be made here on the main agenda, but there is a confidential appendices with more detail we'll leave the option open to have a discussion on that in the closed section. But if not, if we're happy to make a decision on the basis of the discussion here, we won't need to do that. Okay? Can I open up for questions and comments, please? Glenn, please, yes.
Thank you very much, and thank you to Councillor Gannon for his his introduction. I think the interesting thing is that almost 50% of the people that use buses have no alternative option. That's not just, of course, in the areas that he represents, but it's very much the case that is in areas that I represent. In the most rural parts of Northumberland, and I dare say in Durham as well. So it's very important that we have a bus service that works, and I think the Northumberland line has shown that public transport for the right price and the right place and the right amount of motivation and commitment can work. So you will know, Mayor, that I was I had some concerns about this at the beginning, but I've had a number of very useful conversations that have put my mind at rest, and therefore I am happy for this paper to go ahead without needing to go to confidential.
Thanks, Glenn. And I think that point about rural services, we will be the most rural area to embark on this journey, and that is significant because it's our people in our most rural areas who suffer the most from the decline in the bus services, and that is the number one problem with franchising that we would be seeking to fix, and I think that's absolutely critical. Andrew, I know you wanted to come in, and then Michael. Thank you.
It's not working. Thank you, Chair. Yeah, similar. We've had genuine, reservations to speak freely. I think now we're a lot more comfortable with regard to endorsing this work. I mean, there's obviously it's a huge agenda for County Durham to get this right. As we mentioned, it's important to note that this is not the final decision on the bus reform model, with some more important things to be bottomed out at our end, for example, to make sure this works for County Durham before I think the final decision's in 2027. So I think there's three main areas which we need to just be mindful of at our end, and that's the rural bus element to echo Northumberland, to ensure that the residents outside of the urban core are not the ones that get left behind. And we need robust evidence that this will be the case. The design of the bus network, it's important that this is done collaboratively, and our county needs to have a strong presence in the setting of routes, fares, and so on. And then political oversight, with elections coming up, regardless of results, the progress will come with further accountability, which gives me comfort. 2027. And with that, I'm grateful to the North East Combined Authority and obviously Durham County Council teams who've worked together so far. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Michael?
Thanks, Chair. I'm really supportive of us taking the next step. As mentioned before, a significant number of residents, not just in Sunderland but across the North East, rely on the buses to get them to work, education, retail and leisure options. For too long, we've spent a significant proportion of public money propping up what is in effect a private system. And I think for too long, we've relied on a poor service with not too much influence in that. Just recently, a bus that's ran for 20, 30 years through the middle of my ward was changed at the whim because of the decision by the bus companies that left the residents in Hendon disenfranchised, unable to plan journeys that they've taken for too long. So I welcome us taking us to the next step. I welcome the fact that this is you delivering on a key manifesto promise, because I think this will have a transformational impact on not just residents across Sunderland but across the North East. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Tracy?
Yeah, thanks. Just obviously following on from Michael there, you touched upon the transformational move, and I think, you made that commitment, Kim, when you came in with your manifesto and your pledges and what have you. And I think from a South Tynesyde's perspective, it's all about our residents being connected to jobs and connected to outside networks. So I absolutely welcome, again, following on from Michael, the next step in all of this and the recommendations, Kim.
Thanks, Tracy. Karen? It's much easier with just one Karen. Don't tell Mayor Karen.
Don't tell her. Thank you for that. And I haven't got a lot to say on this other than I really, really welcome this. And I think what we have to recognise is that people don't live their lives within a local authority area. People cross boundaries. It's only us who recognises those boundaries. People visit their families, go to work, go to leisure opportunities, take part in sport. Everything that you do in your daily life crosses local authority boundaries. So to have something like this across the region that is going to link our people with all of those new places of work that we're developing, all of those new leisure opportunities that we're creating, is absolutely fundamental, and absolutely it delivers on a manifesto commitment. But most importantly, it's going to be transformational, as everyone else has said, to the North East, and I really, really welcome it.
Thank you very much. Any other questions or comments? I think from the comments around the table, I'm picking up that we don't need to progress to confidential and that we'll be happy to make the decision on this agenda item now. Can I just agree with? Great. Okay, are we happy to agree the recommendations as Cabinet? Great. Lovely, thank you very much. Much appreciated. Item 6. We're sticking with transport, often a big theme in our meetings, and this is delivering on the Mayor's local transport plan. So more than 1 million passengers use Region Centre interchange every single year, and honestly, it does look really tired. We've recently invested in new ticket barriers there, and that's a positive move, but there's much more to do, which is why we're putting £8 million in to refurbish that key metro interchange. We'll be improving the platforms, the bus stations, and making it easier to find your way around. And this comes after, as I've said already, the £2.1 million investment in the new ticket barriers. A lot of this is about making sure that our transport hubs are nicer places to be. But what we can't forget, and what is so critical to our plans for transport in this region that sets us apart from other regions, is that we're also looking at the safety of our travel, making sure those barriers, particularly for women and girls, particularly at night, don't exist any longer, to open up opportunities. I think the other thing to mention in this paper, it's a massive thing. There's a really good reason that there's loads of pictures all over the internet of politicians standing, pointing at potholes, and that's because they're the bane of so many people's lives. And so we're putting £22 million into our roads to get it sorted. That means that everybody can have a smoother journey. And also worth mentioning, we'll be working on the Durham Development Programme to make sure that £5.65 million goes to all across County Durham to have that world-class transport network, including Stanley Bus Station. There's so much more I could say on this paper. It's very thorough. It's a huge step forward in that world-class transport network that we really want to see. But I'll hand over to Martin for the details. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. You've said everything.
Sorry.
Man, that's not entirely. I mean, the report. We each month now it seems as though we're having.
You've always got more to say, Mark. I know.
I know. We each month we are announcing and keeping members updated, and the substantial investment programme on a monthly basis. This month, there's just so much within this report in terms of all of the areas have already covered. I don't think there's anything else I can add. Yes, the additional funding for highway maintenance. Yes, you've mentioned the Region Centre upgrade, which is £8 million. Retrospective support for the active travel bridge in County Durham. I don't think there's anything else I would want to raise. Yeah, so I've covered everything. Okay, cheers.
Lovely, thank you very much. Any questions or comments? Susan?
Having said I didn't want to speak on anything, as you were talking about the Regent Centre and the improvements, obviously it's a big issue within police and crime, is antisocial behaviour, people not feeling safe at all our interchanges actually. And the work that you're doing on the infrastructure fits in really well with the work we're doing around Project Shield and problem solving and looking for some of those design elements that make the place less safe. So I just think working together we can achieve so much more in those places as well. Thank you.
Absolutely. I know that during my time as Police and Crime Commissioner, when we talked to women and girls, they told us that the 3 places they felt the least safe were at night on public transport, in public parks, again at night, and in our nighttime economy. And it is in our gift working together to tackle those problems head on and to say nobody should be excluded from opportunity because they don't feel safe getting on the metro or on the bus. It's just not an acceptable situation. And so, you know, to build on this with direct investment into tackling the problem through the infrastructure is crucial.
Yeah, and just to add to that, it's also about the places being busy and inhabited. So it was 4 Lane Ends that I went to, where somebody who ran a business there was suffering a lot of antisocial behaviour because it was just an open shop front. And working with the council and with the police, they actually enclosed it. And she says it's totally different now. We need businesses there. We need it not to feel like an empty, unsafe place. So, yeah, great. Thank you.
Thank you. Tracy, you wanted to come in?
Yeah, just very briefly, Kim. Just highlighting, I mean, you've already touched upon the areas. I absolutely agree with the areas and the focus, which you've already said. You've talked about highway maintenance. I mean, potholes are probably the bane of every elected member's lives, but you've touched upon that. You know, the metro to Washington, the Angel Network, you know, there is so much on here going on, and I absolutely strongly agree with the areas that's been focused upon in this report, Kim.
Thank you. Karen, then Glenn. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, just to completely endorse the focus on women and girls' safety, I think that's absolutely fundamental, and it's really good that it's being acknowledged and it's being acted on, because for too long it's been ignored largely. We now have the means by which to do something, which is absolutely superb. And again, obviously, as someone from Newcastle, I would really welcome the investment in the Region Centre interchange. I grew up in Ford and I used the metro line that ran through Region Centre virtually every day. I know what a thriving hub it was. I know how safe it felt. I know how much this is going to really improve it for the next generation. It's really great to see.
Thank you. And Glenn, I know that I should have mentioned up front, but the work we've been doing together to look at further expansion, obviously, of the all successful Northumberland line and the increase in carriages as well. So, you know, this benefits for rural travel in Northumberland too. Thank you.
Indeed it does. And I would not want this opportunity to go by without saying thank you for sharing the same ambition to see carriages brought onto the line to be able to cope with all the passengers who are using the Northumberland line. I really look forward to, hopefully in the next month or two, to seeing this come to fruition, and so that when we have Newcastle games, for example, when the carriages are packed, that there won't be so much of a problem. It's okay when Sunderland are playing, but we do have a problem when Newcastle are playing.
I strongly suspect we'll have a problem when both are playing on Sunday.
And what's more, I also want to say thank you as well, because it's very important to have a carriage, but it's also very important to share the same ambition to see the Northumberland line extend, to not stop where we are now, but to go farther north, to take in perhaps people going to the hospital in Ashington, and then go farther up to the evolving place that is Newbiggin. So thank you for sharing that ambition. Northumberland County Council are passionate about this project. We've invested a lot of money, and I'm grateful for the money that we've had from NECA as well. So I'm hoping that by 2028, we will have the first planning application in for that first step. And thank you again for that money to allow the feasibility to begin. It's really good to see Northumberland being a really key part of the North East moving forward.
Absolutely, yeah, and it's been brilliant to see the remaining stations start to come to life as well. As we keep populating the Northumberland line, it's been a roaring success. Thank you. Any other questions or comments on this item? Are we happy to agree the recommendations in the report? Lovely, excellent. Item 7 is a Green Jobs Plan. As far as I can see, this is the biggest opportunity in this region for jobs since Margaret Thatcher shut the shipyards and the coal mines. And it is honestly, it's as simple as that. We've got 25,000 people. We haven't got 125,000 people. We'll get there. We've got 25,000 people working in jobs in renewables already in this region, and we will double that. And if you'd asked me a month ago what I'd say about these are the jobs of the future, if you ask me today, I'd say that this is part of our plan to not be held hostage by wars in the Middle East that are pushing the oil prices up, that are affecting people in this region every single day. This is more critical now than ever. And we know Donald Trump and others have turned their back on these green jobs, but I'll tell you now, we will have them in spades in this region. Great jobs for people growing up here. And that's what they are. They are real jobs right now, from Berwick to County Durham, people feeding their families due to a great job in green industries in our region. We all know that there's different opinions on all things green, even possibly around this table, but what we can all agree on is that a good, well-paid job means absolutely everything to families across the North East. And so this paper sets out £20 million to prep the sites of the future, a green skills package to come, and talks already well underway with businesses who want to capitalise on this and create more jobs in this region. As somebody who grew up in a shipbuilding household, I would say that these jobs are as totemic to our future as mining and shipbuilding was to our past. And what we know is that this is only the start of great things to come. I don't want to leave us on a cliffhanger because, you know, that's not what this is all about. But we know that in the next couple of weeks, we'll be able to bring much more, even more positive news about great green jobs and green energy across our region. So with that, I'll hand over to Janet, who I think is going to take us through the report, and then we'll come to Cabinet. Thank you.
Right?
Yeah,
This document sets out our plan for creating green jobs in the North East, and some highlights picked out are, as Kim has already said, we'll double the number of green jobs in the North East from 25,000 today to 50,000 in 2035. The North East Combined Authority have already committed 130 million to support green transition. Green growth means good jobs, warmer homes, lower energy bills, healthier places to live, and a stronger future for our communities. And green jobs can be creating green energy through wind, solar and geothermal. But it's also about building the electric vehicles of the future, creating a more circular economy, or even sustainable forestry and farming. The North East Offshore Wind Infrastructure Programme will help to secure the once-in-a-generation opportunity that offshore wind provides the region in economic growth and green jobs. The 19.5 million allocated to this programme from 2026 to 2029 will support capital investment in our port and quayside sites. It will make sure the North East remains a globally leading region in the offshore wind sector. It will aim to leverage over 195 million of investment into our sites. It will attract additional private investment and clean energy business and unlock high-quality offshore wind jobs at our ports and on our rivers. And finally, a word on the journey we've taken to get here. We undertook extensive consultation with businesses and organisations to develop our offshore wind infrastructure programme, including the home of the Green Energy Revolution Portfolio Advisory Board. We've worked with key national partners, including the Crown Estate, Great British Energy and the Office for Investment, to develop the partnerships that will deliver the green jobs and growth across the region. We'd like to thank all those involved, particularly our colleagues in the North East ports, for ensuring the North East grasps the offshore wind opportunity and becomes the home of the green energy revolution. So could I ask the Cabinet to agree the recommendations?
Thank you. Any questions or comments? I've got Karen and then Tracy.
Thank you. I just think this is really, really exciting. Apart from the fact that we really need to do it, I think it's really exciting for the region. And I know people in this room have heard me say this multiple times, but I've got two, so I'm going to join Janet's report with my report that comes next. I've got two sons, one studying engineering at Northumbria, the other studying performing music at Newcastle College. And it genuinely feels like, for the first time, possibly ever, that they aren't going to have to leave the region, they aren't going to have to leave home for jobs unless they choose to, but they're not going to be forced to. And part of the reason for that is because of the work that this combined authority is doing by bringing good quality jobs and investing in the right sectors to ensure that our economy grows. So I think this is a really exciting opportunity, and I'm fully supportive of it.
Brilliant, well put, thank you. Tracy, and then Michael.
Yeah, again, Kim, totally in full support of this. I think the North East is absolutely leading the areas with regard to, you know, green jobs, and there is so much potential in all of this and moving forward. And it actually builds on the work of yourself, Kim, and the fantastic, you know, green job fair that was at the Port of Tyne, which was absolutely amazing. I mean, you know, we've got some fantastic organisations across the region. I'll just name a couple. We've got Equinor, we've got Port of Tyne, and you know, there's so many more, and I just don't want to name many more, but absolutely amazing, and absolutely welcome this report, Kim.
Excellent, thank you, Michael.
Thanks, Kim. Yeah, for us in Sunderland, green jobs are a really important part of our economy. And residents across Sunderland have been building electric vehicles and supplying key components in that sector for more than a decade, and it's essential that we work closely together to continue to attract green new jobs in the region as we move forward. Also, the Port of Sunderland is increasingly recognised as a hub for the circular economy, and valuable employment opportunities will be created and sustained through the electrification of advanced manufacturing through sustainable technologies, and as well as in areas such as offshore wind. We need to continue to create the conditions for key investors to choose and to continue to choose investment in the North East, because these are the jobs of the future. We were really delighted that Sunderland was named recently as the net zero capital of the North. More than 4,000 people, around about 4,000 people employed in that sector in the city now. That's the equivalent of how many people will work in Monk Weymouth Pit when it closed. This is the scale of the employment in our city. So I think this is a fantastic opportunity, not just for Sunderland, but for North East, and fully supportive of it. Thank you.
Lovely, thank you. Glenn?
Yes, you'd expect me probably to say Sunderland have done really well and Newcastle have done really well, but of course the Port of Blyth has done a most incredible amount of work. Absolutely. Coming from where it was 120 years ago, where it dealt in energy by exporting huge amounts of coal. Today it leads in energy again. Through renewables coming from those turbines in the North Sea. So well done to all of them, and working together, as I know they do, it can only be a good thing. So fantastic way forward.
Thank you. And I think it was Tracy who mentioned the Green Jobs Fair that we did at Port of Tyne. And it's things like that that really bring it to life. We did have so many employers there, from Equinor to SMD to all of the ports to the Crown Estate, and honestly the list goes on. And it was so successful with hundreds of young people from across the region. You could, excuse the pun, but you could genuinely feel the energy in the room, and all of them know the scale of the opportunity ahead of them. It's now our job to make sure that they can do that in the region. And so that was so successful that we decided to make it into a roadshow, and then successfully held another Green Jobs Fair at Blyth, at Port of Blyth, because once again, you know, the skills that are being built there, the jobs that are being created, the wind farms that are being sustained off the Port of Blyth are so critical to our future. This is really important to the whole of our region, and I'm really excited that we're able to take it forward. Are there any other final comments, or are we happy to agree the recommendations? Agreed. Lovely, thank you very much. That takes us on to item 8, which has already been ably trailed by Councillor Gilgow, by Karen. Do you know, this to me, it comes down to two things. It comes down to class and it comes down to pride. And for me, London has been too long in dominance when it comes to our creative industries. It's unfairly cast other places into the shadows. We've seen far too much cash disproportionately pumped into the capital at the detriment of everywhere else, and we need to address that balance. Only in recent months, we've seen Sam Fender, we've seen Jade comment on exactly this, you know, using their voices, using the success that they've had to talk about more opportunity for more young people from working class backgrounds and regions like ours getting on and getting ahead. And it doesn't necessarily just mean the people in front of the microphone or in front of the camera. It's all of those thousands of jobs that make up these core sectors and this core part of our economy. It's only recently that we've seen huge blockbuster hits like 28 Years Later being filmed in the region. And so this is about us turning the tide on that dominance. And this is a massive investment. This is saying that we take the culture and creative industries as seriously as we take any other industry in this region, with £104 million worth of cultural investment. Again, this is the biggest that the region has ever seen. And it is about making sure that young people growing up here, regardless of their background, can have a clear creative career career, they can have the skills that they need, they can have the small venues that they need to get on, and they can do it without having to leave this region from the capital, for the capital. So in this paper alone, we've got £13 million to grow major events across the region. Not only is that great for jobs, it's great for our visitor economy as well. It's great for all parts of the North East. And we've got £29 million to support the wider creative industry sector, meaning that means investing in support for small venues, it means investing in support for skills, it means investing in support for our nightlife, because what we all know is that a brilliant night out with live music in this region is a massive part of our identity, it's a massive part of our pride, and it creates real opportunity for kids growing up across the region, just like Karen's son. I'm really passionate about this. I think this is the sort of thing that is transformational for young people who've got talent and ambition, because what we know is that actually talent is completely classless, but sadly at the moment opportunity just isn't. So I'll hand over to Karen to take us through the paper and then to Cabinet for comments.
Thank you, and absolutely endorse that last point that you made. I think that's absolutely critical to what we're doing. As we know, culture, heritage, creativity and sport play a vital role in the identity, economy and everyday life of the North East, and we have a rich landscape of assets across the region. Today's paper seeks Cabinet approval for £38 million worth of investment over the next 3 years to support the North East culture, creative industries and sports sectors, alongside endorsement of a draft 10-year strategic framework which will guide future investment and activity across the region and which will be subject to wider sector consultation over the coming months. This paper is about recognising the role that culture, creativity, our heritage and sport already play in the life and economy of the North East, but also about ensuring that we support them to grow, to deliver even more for our communities, to make our region even more competitive and ensure that we create the best environment we can to those looking to make and sustain a career here. And of course, these sectors are not simply about entertainment or leisure, important though they are. They're drivers of economic growth, opportunity and well-being. They create jobs, attract visitors and investment, and help shape the identity and pride of our region. And the North East has seen the fastest proportional growth in creative industries at GVA of any English region, demonstrating the enormous potential of this sector. At the same time, culture, heritage and sport support our visitor economy, our town centres and communities, while improving health and well-being as well as social connection. But we know that there are also structural challenges. Participation in culture and sport remains uneven, creative employment can be insecure, and access to opportunities can depend too heavily on someone's background or where they're based. This paper therefore sets out a clear 10-year strategic framework to respond to both the opportunities and the challenges. The framework's built around 3 themes: creating jobs and driving growth, investment and recognition, developing skills and talent across culture, creative industries and sport, and increasing access, engagement and participation across our communities. As the Mayor said, alongside the framework, Cabinet's asked to approve 2 initial investment plans covering the next 3 years. This investment comprises over £40 million, will drive the region's ambition forward. First, a £29 million creative industries investment plan, supporting key growth sectors such as screen, music, writing and publishing, as well as freelancers, creative businesses and small venues. Second, a £13 million event and participation investment plan designed to strengthen the region's events portfolio and expand cultural and sporting participation across our communities. And together, these investments will help support creative business, talent development, grassroots activity and major events, ensuring growth is felt right across the region. This work is fully aligned with the local growth plan, the Deeper Devolution deal and the Mayor's manifesto, positioning culture, creative industries and sport as core contributors to the region's economic future. Importantly, the combined authority won't deliver this alone. Delivery will be through strong partnerships with our local authorities, sector organisations, national funders, educational providers, arm's length bodies and communities across the region. The intention of the framework and investment plan is not to duplicate or replace local approaches, but to add value, align effort and strengthen. Cabinet endorsement today will allow us to move forward with delivery while continuing wider consultation with partners in the sector, with the final strategic framework published later this summer. In short, this paper sets out how we can harness the power of culture, creativity and sport to drive growth, widen opportunity and really strengthen our pride in the North East.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. I think important to say that we recognise how strong and influential our culture and creative industries are in the region. And so there will be consultation on this. We will work with the sector to get this right and work with young people to make sure that we're delivering exactly the right thing and investing this money in the best possible way. Can I open for questions or comments at this point? Michael? Glenn? Yeah, Michael first and then Glenn.
Thanks, Kim. Yeah, I absolutely welcome this, and I want to thank Karen and yourself for bringing this forward. We all know in the region we have some of the best culture and natural heritage assets of anywhere in the country. But for too long, there's been parts of the region, I think of neighbourhoods like where I grew up, in Hendon, in Sunderland, where there is real talent in some of our young people, but they just haven't necessarily got the access to the opportunities to realise that talent. So I really think this approach, working with local authorities and working with other partners, can really unlock some of that real potential we have in the region. We all know the sport and heritage of the region. We've got a big game on Sunday afternoon that I've promised I would mention somehow. So we'll see if we can keep the other 3 points so we make it a double header, but we'll have to wait and see. But again, I just want to place on record my thanks and appreciation for everyone who's put this together. This is really going to be a momentous occasion for particularly young people from deprived communities to reach their potential. Thanks.
Brilliant. Thank you, Glenn.
Yeah, I completely agree about that. I think aspiration in young people is so important, and we can play a part in that to the offer and the encouragement of sport and culture. So that's great. The one thing I do welcome are the words from Karen around using all the power and all the expertise that we have within our own authority. So, and I'm glad you said that, because we do have tremendous talent in our own authorities, so please let's use them and share with them rather than put them perhaps to one side.
I think that's so important, that getting that coverage across the region, whether you knock on a door in the northernmost part of Northumberland, the southernmost part of County Durham, everywhere in between, whether you knock on the door of the richest person in the region or some of those in the most deprived areas, every single child in this region has ambition and they have aspiration, and our job is to make sure that they have the opportunity to match it. And that's exactly what this is all about. With that, unless there are any other questions or comments, can I ask us to agree the recommendations on this? Agreed. Lovely. Thank you very much. Okay, item 9. I am going to keep going because we are making great progress. So we'll keep moving through the agenda. And if anybody does need a moment, then please just give us a shout. So item 9, business in the North East, transition to a new era of regional business support. So look, we know that businesses, particularly small businesses, are so utterly key to our communities. And what we're trying to do is to make sure that they've got the support that they need to start up, to scale up, to grow, to create jobs, and to help our communities really thrive. And so this sees us invest just over £7 million to provide 9 months of funding before we introduce a new regional approach to business support that we'll be setting out later in the year. This is about making sure that, just like in the previous paper, whether you're starting a business in the northernmost part of Northumberland, the southernmost part of County Durham, or anywhere in between in this region, you get access to the support that you really need. So it's a really positive move forward. I'll hand over to Karen again. It is the Karen Kilgour show today to take us through the paper. Thank you.
I'm really sorry, everyone. Thank you. So business support is key to our mission to make the North East home to a growing and vibrant economy for all. And to achieve this, we need to ensure that wherever people are in the North East, our businesses have access to consistent, high-quality business support that's available when they need it. Time and again, we've heard from our stakeholders that the current system is fragmented and challenging to navigate, and also challenging to understand and access. And we recognise that these problems are magnified for smaller companies or business leaders who are early in their journey. We also know that some business leaders are particularly disadvantaged. Those who are female, from the global majority, or who have a disability often find it harder to access growth capital. So we are all committed to making this region the best place to start up, to grow and scale a business. We also want to drive the maximum amount of resource to businesses themselves. So to do this, we need to remove fragmentation, duplication and those postcode lotteries. A simplified regional offer and better alignment of support to priority sectors can help to improve productivity, increase innovation adoption, and deliver higher business survival and growth rates, as well as making access to opportunity more inclusive across the region. Devolution is our opportunity to create a regional approach to business support with our customers, i.e. our businesses, at the heart of its design and delivery. And the work's being developed in close partnership by the North East Combined Authority and our local authorities, working together to deliver what businesses require. To reflect the regional offer, we're looking to brand this partnership and this new approach as Business North East. Business leaders want a system that focuses on the challenges to starting up and scaling businesses and that reflect the evolution in technology and needs. Their evidence and insight must inform this work, and we're committed to co-creation and taking the time needed so that we get the right solutions for businesses across our region. Of course, during this time, we can't just turn off the tap and leave businesses without any support, so we need to maintain critical capacity in the provider community. To balance those needs, this paper proposes a 9-month transition period ahead of the introduction of a new, longer-term regional approach to business support. An indicative budget of up to £33 million revenue funding has been allocated within the Integrated Settlement, Economic Development and Regeneration pillar for business support in the region, and the combined authorities worked with local authorities and the business community to agree which priority programmes should be maintained during this transition period. The paper requests £7.1 million for the proposed transition period, support for female business leaders, and work to establish the Business North East brand ahead of the 1st of January 2027. And I think there's a list of the programmes to be supported in Appendix 1 of the report. And this leaves up to £25.9 million for implementation of the new business support framework up to the end of the financial year 28-29. This will be the focus for a further Cabinet paper later in the year. As I said, partnership and co-production are key, and I'm pleased with the collaborative approach that's been taken. I would like to thank members of the Business Board, business community stakeholders, as well as our councils and business support providers for their support and engagement to get us to this point. Of course, we'll continue to engage with these stakeholders as we move forward to ensure that we get it right, because if we don't, the North East will continue to lag on measures such as productivity, and I know that's something that none of us want to see.
Brilliant, thank you. Any questions or comments? John, do you want to come in as our business representative?
Yeah, thank you, Kim. Thank you, Karen, for that. Just very briefly, just reiterate a lot of what Karen said there. What I really welcome about this is that co-creation, and not just, as you said, Karen, between the combined authority and the local authorities, but between business groups and individual businesses themselves. And we at the Business Board have already sort of kicked the tyres of some of what's being proposed. I really appreciate that we're not going to reach that cliff edge in a few weeks' time as well, because business support is so critical, and the fact that we've got something really exciting coming down the line is fantastic, but we're not going to hit that cliff edge in a few weeks' time, which is absolutely critical. And I think what will come through as you do more of that kind of consultation and that co-design with business is the need for whatever we do finalise on as being the long-term substantial package to be accessible, to be simple, to be something that our brilliant business leaders and innovators can kind of focus on the day job, focus on the next innovation, the next investment that they want to make, without accessing business support being something that becomes kind of all-encompassing. It's something that's available to them, they can get it, they can crack on with it, they can crack on with the day job.
Lovely. I think that's such a good point. You know, the whole point of this is it should be easy to access. The people starting businesses, running businesses, scaling businesses, creating jobs need to be concentrating on the core of their business and not spending a disproportionate amount of their time trying to access the funding and support they need. It's our job to make it simple, equal and easy to access. Any other questions or comments at all on this one? I think it's also really important at this point to mention, Karen, you mentioned some of the people who are disproportionately impacted by the lack of support, and I've been really pleased that we've been able to champion in the region some amazing work on female founders, led by Sophie Milliken, who's a member of our business board, and next week a big group of female founders will go down to London to meet with the Chancellor and to take up opportunities to attract more investment to their businesses from the South. Because that's the fact, right, is that we need this money within the region, but actually we need to be pulling money out of the capital into the North East and showing what a great proposition this place is to invest in. So I'm really, really pleased with that as well. Any questions or comments at this point? If not, can we agree the recommendations? Lovely, thank you. the next item is the North East visitor economy. This is an update and next steps. And this again is a really, really exciting paper for us. And it takes us right back to that whole point about regional pride. I don't think there's anybody around this table. I don't think there's anybody in this room. I'd be very surprised if there's anybody in our millions of fans watching on the live stream from across the region who will not agree with me when I say that this is the best place in the world. It is beautiful. We've got some of the most incredible heritage and history. We've got amazing countryside, amazing coastlines, amazing cities. I could go on. And now it's time for us, through Experience North East, which we're creating today, to go out there and attract more visitors, to grow our visitor economy together, to show people what an incredible place this is and why they might want to come here and visit here and stay here. It'll create jobs across the region. Our visitor economy already employs a huge amount of people in hospitality and in events, and there's so much more that we can be doing. So what we're doing with this is investing in exactly that, creating Experience North East, delivering on that promise to take our world-famous North East heritage out there on the road and show people what we're all about. Because let's face it, for far too long, we've relied on organisations like Visit Britain, which we might as well rename Visit London, because they are not interested in us one iota. They've done nothing to promote regions like ours. And so this is about us taking the reins and doing it for ourselves and doing it together. I want to see this underpinned by a visitor levy. We're out to consultation on that, obviously, at the moment, but we know that with just £2 a night, we could raise up to £20 million for world-class events to keep attracting people to our region. And so we'll be keeping an eye on government's next steps with that, on the consultation, and on making sure that we get it right for our region as well. So with that, I'll hand over to Karen again to take us through the paper. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm introducing the proposals today to launch Experience North East England, as we've just heard, our new regional visitor economy body, which is set to go live in April. This follows Cabinet's decision in December and the work that we've done with the NGI board to evolve their organisation into a truly regional service. And this is important because the visitor economy is already worth £6.6 billion to the region and supports more than 62,000 jobs. We have wonderful regional assets running across our coast, countryside and city. We've got 2 World Heritage Sites. We're recognised nationally and internationally for our major events like the Great North Run. And we also have a clear ambition through the local growth plan to double the sector over the next decade. Experience North East England will be a regional visitor economy body working collaboratively with our, this is a right tongue twister, with our local visitor economy partnerships, our LVEPs, in Northumberland, Durham and Newcastle Gateshead, and with our local authorities. It will deliver a coordinated and complementary support offer for the visitor economy across the region, recognising the critical role that the LVEPs play in destination management, product development, business engagement and local delivery. Experience North East England will add value at a regional level, particularly in relation to strategic positioning and global marketing, working with those organisations best placed to benefit from increased international reach. This approach, undertaken through a new Visit North East England steering group, will avoid duplication, will align respective roles and ensure a seamless pathway for businesses. Experience North East England's core vision is to inspire and attract visitors to the North East through innovative marketing, unforgettable experiences and celebration of our unique culture, landscapes and people, driving sustainable growth and community pride. Focus will be on the things that need to happen at a regional scale: inbound marketing, especially internationally, product development, creating bookable experiences and stronger itineraries, event strategic management, focused on in particular on high-value mid-sized conferences and large-scale events, showcasing our region so that visitors keep coming back, and partnership development to strengthen coordination across the region. Governance will be strengthened through the new Visit North East England Strategic Steering Group, which brings together the LVEP leads, local authorities, the airport and private sector partners. The Combined Authority Chief Executive will act as interim chair, and this will mean better coordination across the region's visitor economy network. We're asking Cabinet for in-principle approval for up to £7 million over 3 years. This will fund the regional activities only, with a 1-year delivery plan for 2026-27 coming back through the assurance framework after launch. In the first year, priorities include launching a new regional website, attending key international travel trade shows, and delivering targeted marketing campaigns. This investment is expected to benefit more than 1,500 businesses, and previous activity suggests a strong return of between £2 to £3 for every pound invested. This critical investment in a key and growing sector for the region is expected to deliver a range of outcomes which include driving growth in domestic and international visitor spend and increasing the average length of visitor stays. It will improve the region's profile and awareness in key markets. It will lead to a more diverse and higher quality year-long visitor offer, which in turn will drive job creation. These proposals give us the regional capability we've lacked for some time. They align strongly with the Mayor's ambitions, and they position us to grow the visitor economy in a way that brings new jobs, higher spend and greater visibility for the whole region. Subject to Cabinet endorsement today, NGI will ratify the organisational change later this month. And just to end on an anecdote, because I am sitting next to Martin, I was talking to somebody with a very senior role in the region recently, who is not English, and he said to me, God, your region's beautiful, the city's beautiful, the region's beautiful, you know, you've got the coast, you've got the countryside, it's amazing. Why don't you tell people? Why does no one know about it? And this will do exactly that. This will address exactly what he was saying. He shouldn't have been surprised to know what a fabulous region we are and what we've got to offer throughout the whole region. And this, by creating this entity, we will hopefully start to address that and bring even more people to see what a beautiful place we live in.
Really well said, thank you. Any questions or comments? Glenn?
Yes, thank you very much. I do appreciate that in the recommendations it's talking about that the one-year delivery plan is brought through the process as soon as practicable, with a more detailed, comprehensive business plan following later this year. I think, and you've given me the assurance that I think this is the kind of thing that could well work, but it could also stand on toes. It could make life slightly tetchy. So I think it's important that we all get together and talk about this again when it's moved on a pace, ideally in the next 6 months. And whilst I would love to be able to agree to the tourist tax, you know, I never will.
Fair enough. I think your point is absolutely right. This has got to be about more, not instead of. There's no point whatsoever replacing what we're already doing with stuff that we're already doing. It's completely beside the point. We've got to grow our awareness, we've got to grow the offer, and we've got to work together to do it, because my words, whether you arrive in the region in County Durham, the centre of Newcastle, at Newcastle Airport, in rural Northumberland, you know, there is so much at your feet, and there's so much accessible within a pretty short travelling distance, despite the size of this incredible place. So there's so much to offer, and I think reviewing that and making sure that we're doing it is a really fair request. Any other questions? Tracy?
Yeah, it's just a comment, Kim, really. I think this report is absolutely excellent. Thanks very much, Karen. And I welcome the commitment that we've got within the report about working with local authorities and working with our key partners, such as the airport, in all of this. So absolutely brilliant report, and endorse the whole report, Kim.
Excellent. Thank you, Susan.
Yeah, obviously I'm absolutely in favour of this, and I agree. We are one of the world's best kept secrets. What I do want to ensure, though, is that we make sure that we are aware of safety and infrastructure at the same time, both for visitors. Visitors won't come somewhere that they don't feel safe. They certainly won't come back if that's their experience. But also it's the impact it has on those services for our residents. I have no doubt you have been told the same figure that I have, Kim, in your time, about in the height of summer, there are more people living in the holiday park in Haggerston Castle than there are in the town of Berwick. So the implications for policing around that and for local authority services are massive. And what we don't want to do is to create this wonderful opportunity, but that have a negative impact on our communities who pay the precepts for the services.
Absolutely. I think making sure that we're doing this in collaboration with those hospitality providers and in collaboration with residents is really critical. And obviously one of the things that we're lucky to be able to shout about is that this is one of the safest places in the country, and that is a huge selling point for us, both for visitors and also for residents. Karen?
Thank you. It was just to address Glenn's point and just to give that reassurance. This is not about duplication or about replacement, because that would be an absolute waste of money. This is about alignment and supplementing the good work that's already done and making sure that we sing about this region at the top of our voices, just as many people can hear us. So not about replacing, not about trying to take over the work of the local authorities. It's absolutely about working with and doing it in a joined up manner that really supports the region and our ambitions for it.
Brilliant, thank you. Are we happy to agree the recommendations of this report? Agreed. Lovely. Thank you very much. Item 11 even is the community impact fund. So this is about £12 million going directly into frontline delivery, and it's as simple as that. And it's about supporting our amazing community and voluntary sector in the region to deliver the invaluable work that they do in our communities, often delivering life-changing results and services to people who can slip through the cracks. I think we all know, some of us having sat round tables like this for a long time, some of us being newer to the table, we still all know that there have been times when actually it's the community and voluntary sector that steps into the breach, where the public sector fails people. And so we need to make sure that they're enabled and equipped to do that. So this Community Impact Fund will be all about building capacity, supporting community and voluntary sector organisations to create opportunity and to help people right across our region. I'll hand over to Tracy, the Cabinet Member, to take us through the report.
Yeah, thanks very much, Kim. Across the North East and certainly in South Tyneside, we see every day the vital role our charities, community groups and social enterprises plays in supporting our residents. They are trusted, rooted in place and often the first to respond when people need help. But this sector is under pressure. Funding is changing, demand is rising, and national programmes like the £500 million Better Future Funds are moving firmly towards outcome-based commissioning. That shift brings opportunities, but only if our region is ready. Today's proposal, a North East Combined Impact Fund, is a £12 million investment to put that readiness in place. The fund will invest in three key areas. First, a strong regional backbone, ensuring we have the evaluation, evidence and system leadership needed to present credibility, investable proposals to national funders to demonstrate the significant impact being made. Second, support the development and scale delivery through innovation grants and match funding for outcome-based contracts. This means the region can leverage significant external investment, ensuring every pound we put in goes further. And third, strengthening the system resilience so that organisations of all sizes across all 7 of our local authorities have the support they need to take part, such as building partnerships and improving data and evidence capacity and capability. Crucially, this fund will help us leverage national investment, making sure our sector can compete confidently for the opportunities ahead. This is about fairness and opportunity. We want organisations rooted in our communities to benefit from national funding and not be left behind it. Kim, I am therefore asking Cabinet to approve the establishment of a Community Impact Fund so that together we can strengthen our sector, attract major investment in our region and help build the North East as the home of real opportunity. Thank you, Kim.
Brilliant, thank you very much. Martin, do you want to come in as our charitable sector representative?
Yes, please. Thanks, Kim, and thanks, Tracy. I think this proposal for a Community Impact Fund is welcome. It represents a good way to improve the strengths of the community and voluntary sector at what is quite a challenging time in terms of funding cuts from elsewhere and other pressures, as Tracy's noted. It will also equip the sector to be better prepared for the future, attracting more money into the region, pulling money into the region, in your words, Kim, and take on more to increase the help provided to families and households across the region. The community and voluntary sector is an important part of the North East economy and communities, employing over 30,000 people, backed by no less than 120,000 volunteers. And this fund recognises that scale and the importance of bolstering it and ensuring it is as strong as possible. I would like, if I may, Kim, to acknowledge the work of officials in the North East Combined Authority and their colleagues across all 7 local authority areas who put together what is frankly and necessarily a complicated design. Their efforts and commitments has got the idea to this point, to the outline of a fund that I think will benefit the whole of the North East. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It is recognition of the excellence in this in the community and voluntary sector, and I think, you know, we said that we wanted to make sure that the right support was in place, and this is hopefully us delivering and being seen by them to deliver, and therefore having positive outcomes for residents. And I think your point about pulling money into the region, I am lucky enough to have worked with a lot of people in the community voluntary sector across the North East over the years, and there's nobody better at using the money that they receive to leverage more in, and to then spend that to the best use for, you know, a whole range of vulnerable residents right across our region. So thank you for making that point. I think it's really important. Any questions or comments on this item? Michael.
Thanks, Kimmy. I just wanted to welcome this fund. It aligns really closely with our Stronger Communities framework, which has been shaped by extensive consultation with residents and partners. And in that framework, there was a clear recognition that the voluntary community sector was essential to build a resilient and connected communities across Sunderland. So we're really looking forward to working with NECA to help shape the local element of this fund, because we understand we put £1.2 million of council resources behind that strategy in Sunderland, and I think this new fund could help support that, because really the voluntary community sector in Sunderland are a lifeline to a lot of our residents, and I'm really delighted to see this come forward.
Excellent. Any other comments or questions? Okay, in which case can we agree the recommendations in the report? Now, I have been asked for a comfort break, so if it's okay, we'll break just for 5 minutes at this point. I've been asked. I'm delivering for the people. So if we can just reconvene as quickly as we can, and we'll get on with it. Thank you very much. Thanks. Okay, can I just check, is the live stream running again? Perfect, thank you very much. Right, welcome back everybody after the break. It feels very ITV TV. Anyway, on that, let's move on. So we're into what I think is a really exciting part of the agenda now, as we see real investment going into some major projects that will be transformative for places right across the region. Item 12 is the first of this, and this is the mayoral development zone on Gateshead Quays. And you know what? I think it's absolutely fair to acknowledge, and I know that Martin won't disagree with me, this has been a long time coming, and a lot of work has gone into getting us to this point. This is finally seeing the work getting done on a site that has stood as an eyesore for far too long, in one of the most prominent positions in the region. And so we can welcome this with open arms as we seek to bring some of the biggest acts that tour around the world to the northeast. And so instead of them stepping over us and saying, you know, you're not big enough, it's not good enough, we want to be able to bring them to our region. And this is the biggest step we've made so far, with £24 million of investment, so that we can get on with getting the site ready for an investor, starting the design work for a new arena, and also, really importantly, creating a park that connects the site to the river, taking away the ISO element of it with a meanwhile space that people can use and people can enjoy while we get on with the job of delivering a world-class arena for the future. Because, as I've said, we should never, as a region, with ambitions like ours, with talent like ours, with passion like ours, with pride like ours, be missing out on events like the Brits or like Eurovision because we simply don't have the space. I think we're all sick of waiting, and so it's time to act now and get on with it. I'm going to, because this is a mayoral development zone and there's a lot of governance to it, I'm going to come to Henry to take us through the paper. Thank you.
Chair, thank you. So I will not too much describe very well what the paper is about and what the investment is there to do. And as you say, a long time coming, a priority within your manifesto and within 2 devolution deals. So we've known this is an investment there to make. And what I wanted to do here was recognise the hard work and scale of collaboration that's gone on to make sure that we are doing that wisely and making sure we're building the right platform for development, which is what you see set out in the paper, and that is through the infrastructure and enabling works that are detailed within that, the high quality public realm around the site, and making sure that we have a procurement process for a future operator that is fit for purpose. So really important that that's gone through in detail, and you'll see that set out in the paper. What you will also see is a lot of sort of strong collaboration within the governance and the delivery of this work. So it's been really important to get that right. That is what the mayoral development zone is there to do, to make sure that we're working strongly together to deliver schemes like this, to add the right kind of project grip and pace, and make sure we're doing that as quickly as possible. And as you will see in the 2 subsequent reports that we're going to go through, the role of our assurance framework, the role of Finance and Investment Board, and the technical work that goes on alongside that to make sure that everything is robustly appraised before delivery is really, really important to say out loud in relation both to this investment and the subsequent 2. So that's all I wanted to say at this point, and with thanks to the teams for the work that they've done.
Lovely. Martin, I don't know if you want to come in as leader of Gateshead Council.
Yes, thank you. Sorry, first and foremost, I think we want to pay tribute to everyone that's been involved in this process. It's no secret that it's been an enormous challenge to deliver on the development of Gateshead Quays. Having said that, you know, if it hadn't been for external events, if it hadn't been for global events, we would now be sitting with that conference centre and arena completed and delivered. The project was, we had developers on board, contractors, operators, sponsors, everything on board. The planning permissions had been granted. We were ready to go on site when, there was already problems in terms of rising costs as a result of COVID, but the war in Ukraine caused enormous problems. At one stage, we actually had the biggest single steel manufacturing plant in Europe, in Mariupol, right? Where, what do I know about the construction industry, except that usually when you let contracts for these things, the contractor will fix their steel purchase prices, sort of to buy a future for the next 2 years, so they fixed their prices. In the middle of that situation, steel prices couldn't be fixed for 24 hours. So effectively it would have been signing a blank cheque at that stage to go ahead with the contract. So therefore, and as a consequence of that, costs have escalated. Interest rates have risen substantially since, and the ongoing conflicts around the world. The most important thing, sorry to say about this, is that there is, has been alluded to, is the robustness of the assurance exercise. Been frustrating. I mean, apart from the fact that I remember sort of standing on the quayside saying the doors will open to this in 2023, so I've had years of frustration thus far, to go into a further assurance exercise for a further 12 months through 4 different iterations and stages has again been enormously frustrated. But to get to a situation at the end of that where, you know, not just the opinion of Gateshead Council, not just the opinion of the North East Combined Authority or the Mayor, but of independent consultants and experts in that field, that there is a demand for this type of facility, there is a market for it, that the developers are still on board, the sponsors are still on board. Not only, I mean, previously we had been working exclusively with one potential operator. We now have interest from 5 potential operators to actually take on the operation of the conference, not the conference, the arena. So in a really strong place with that absolute assurance. So I'm really proud and confident. This is an iconic site. You know, it's with no disrespect to anywhere in the region. We've got some fabulous housing sites, development sites, potential industrial sites. But I think we can all agree that I think there are sites around the world which are instantly recognisable. You know I see the world through rose-coloured spectacles. You know, Sydney Opera House, San Francisco Bay, whatever. We know these sites, okay? We recognise them instantly. The Angel of the North's up there as well, okay? But Newcastle Gateshead Quayside is, for me, an iconic site. It is without doubt, you know, the most precious site that we hold in the region. And so I'm just grateful for the support from colleagues. I think we are developing a project which is, in itself, I mean, there's so many other things we're involved in, but which are transformational, and we overuse the word, right? But to develop that site with the Baltic on one side, the Sage on the other side, the Newcastle Gateshead Quays, the newly completed Tyne Bridge, we are indulging in a major, iconic, transformational project.
Thank you very much. And I think it's fair to say that I hope nobody minds me saying this, there's nobody around this table who doesn't remember what it was like before the Glass House and the Baltic were done, who doesn't remember what it was like before the Millennium Bridge was there. We've done this level of regeneration on that quayside once, and it has transformed the centre, and we're going to do it again. Yep. And that's exactly what this is all about. So thank you very much. It has been a journey to this point. There's work still to do, but I'm delighted that we're getting on with the job and delivering it. Any other questions or comments, Michael?
Thanks, Kim. Yeah, I just wanted to jump in at this point and say I think this is a really great proposal. There's times in the region when we're 7 individual local authorities, and then there's times when we're one region, and to me this is the time when we're one region. A lot of things might be individually built in one local authority, it has a regional impact, and I think the delivery of the Gateshead Quays project will have a significant impact not just on Sunderland but on the wider region. So I think this is a fantastic proposal, and Sunderland City Council is fully behind it, and we cannot wait to see it developed.
Thank you very much. Karen?
Thank you. Very similar comments. I mean, I think think we're almost going to get the benefit of it because we're going to look onto it from Newcastle, so we get a double benefit from this. But I think it's great that we've got to this point. Newcastle's fully supportive of it. We work very closely with all of our partners, but particularly our neighbours in Gateshead. So we're absolutely delighted to see this come forward, fully supportive.
Lovely. Any other questions or comments? Are we then happy to agree the recommendations in the report? Lovely. So item 13 is Riverside Sunderland Creative Mayoral Development Zone, Crownworks Phase 1. And I think the most important thing to say up front on this is that markets change, but ambition doesn't, not in this region anyway. And this is an absolute demonstration of the scale of our ambition. We're bringing film production to Sunderland already. We're bringing film production to the region already. We've seen over 100% growth in these industries in the last 3 years alone. And every single year that demand increases, and every single year the need for more studio space so that we can film those blockbusters right here in this region grows. And what we're really saying to creative Mackhams and creative Geordies and creative Sandancers, I'm going to go on and I'm going to embarrass myself, but right across the region is, do you know what? You can do it here and you don't have to move to London. And that is absolutely critical. Investment plans have changed, but we're stepping in to match the ambition of the people in the region. We've seen Fulwell 73's situation change, and although they're still backing the project, they're no longer directly involved in it. But as a direct result of the work that we're doing, we've seen this studio included in the BBC's next charter, a firm commitment to making film and television in the region. Myself and Michael were lucky enough to go down to the site to see what's going on, get an update on the work, and be joined by Sarah Davies, who is, as you'll all know, not just a TV personality, but also a local investor and a local successful business owner. And I think she said it out really well when she said that from the point of view as someone who lives in the region, has a home, a life, a children in the region, who works in film and television and wants to be able to wake up in her own bed and not have to travel somewhere else, this is transformational. As someone who has a business in the region, who invests in other business, she sees the opportunity that this brings for potentially more investment in the region too. And I think that was a really, really important point for us as we seek to start phase 1, to deliver this, and then to make sure that it is followed by even more ambitious investment, private investment into the site, so we can continue to grow it and grow the number of jobs in Sunderland in film and television. Again, I'll come to Henry to see if you want to add anything from a governance perspective to this paper.
Chair, thank you. So same as with the previous item applies in terms of the MDZ and the collaborative approach to both governance and delivery. I just want to highlight 3 additional things on this paper. So the first, you'll see a really careful calibration to the market we're in. You've talked about that in your introduction, and the independent analysis of that market that's gone into preparing this case as well, just as with the previous item. That's important here too. Secondly, creative use of funding mechanisms. So you'll see in the recommendations that we're being quite imaginative in the way that we're thinking about use of regional and combined authority funding. And then in effect, the de-risking or mixed use of this proposed investment allows you to create new income streams that go beyond what was previously envisaged. So I think the combination of those things gives us confidence that, subject to the same kind of assurance process that we've previously talked about, that this can really deliver on the ambition that you've set out. So my thanks to the teams for the work that's gone into developing that.
Brilliant, thank you. And do you know what? We are really ambitious. From this, I want kids growing up in this region to know that there's major TV stars working down the road. And when we're talking about the BBC Charter, they know that we think the sky's the limit. And when I say the sky's the limit, I'm talking I want Strictly in this region. And do you know what? There's absolutely no reason why not. Michael?
Well, it's a 10 from me for Strictly. No, but in all seriousness, I think this is a watershed moment, not just for Sunderland, but for the wider North East. I said at the time when we did the press event recently in the city that to me this could be similar to when Nissan came to the city in 1986. Markets, as you mentioned, Kim, markets have changed, the plans have been altered and changed, but fundamentally, next year, when this first phase opens, we will have the biggest film and TV studio anywhere in the north of England. That in itself is a significant achievement. It means kids from Newcastle, Gateshead, Northumberland, North South Tyneside and Sunderland do not now have to leave the region. I was fortunate enough, there was a young woman at the event, Carly Armstrong, who was a film and TV producer from Hendon. We grew up 4 or 5 streets away, went to the same schools, and she's had to travel outside of Sunderland to pursue her dream. Now she gets the opportunity to do that in Sunderland. Not just her, but others. There's videos circulating on social media, all the different TV personalities who've seen how much this is a game changer. So I'm really excited. I think this is an absolutely fantastic opportunity. It's not just for those who want to pursue a career in front of the camera, but it is the joiners, the electricians, it's the makeup artists, the people who build the sets on site. This is going to create, I've said it before, a brand new industry in Sunderland. It is absolutely a commitment from us at Sunderland City Council that this is just phase 1. We've proved with Riverside Sunderland that if the public sector take a punt, we did that in Sunderland when we financed the Beam, which is the first building on Riverside. That then brought the private sector on board. We've seen the significant investment from L&G. There isn't any reason why the model for Riverside Sunderland cannot be replicated on the Crownwork site, and in 10-15 years time we haven't got the biggest film and TV studio, not just in the country but in Europe, producing fantastic high-end film and TV studios right in the region and telling our story to the rest of the world. We've talked about the tourism strategy, the marketing strategy. This is all coming together to put the northeast of England as the beating heart of UK PLC. So I'm really delighted. I want to thank you for your personal support, Henry, Mags, the whole team at the Combined Authority, Peter McIntyre in my team for all the work getting this over the line, because this will be a significant investment for the region and I'm absolutely over the moon.
Thank you very much. Karen, then Tracy, then Martin.
Thank you. I know Michael said before there are times when we are 7 separate local authorities and times when we're one region. And I do think this combined authority is a really good example of how to do grown-up politics, because there was a time when we would have been in competition with each other and now we aren't. Having said that, you know, there are times for that for that competition, and we'll see that on Sunday. And may the best team win. But Michael and I and others around the table have said this before. That competition stays on the pitch. It's about the football and nothing else. And like I said earlier, people don't see council boundaries, they don't see local authority boundaries, they don't actually see a combined authority boundary. What they see are opportunities, and the Crownworks will benefit people from Newcastle in the same way that it will benefit people from everywhere else in the region, because it will provide good quality jobs where they live, where's accessible for them, and it will mean people can reach their full potential in the best region in the world. So I'm absolutely fully supportive of it. I think it's really exciting, and I commend everyone involved in it, because I think it's a really exciting opportunity, and thanks for getting us to this point.
Yes, thank you. Thanks, Kim. I mean, we all know we've got amazing talent in this region, and we've got a brilliant creative sector. And I just think from this perspective and the investment that we're going to be putting into this will only just help our sector grow, but also help us retain the talent in the northeast, because that's what's important to us as a region. So absolutely welcome this report. I know that Michael is absolutely over the moon, and as I think we all are, we've all come together as one. Kim, thank you.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Drifted there for a second. Completely agree. And Michael and Sunderland City Council, I think, are absolutely right to be ambitious for this. You know, potentially the number of people employed in this sector, right the way across, in numerous different niches, is absolutely enormous. And what do I know about it, except I talk to people? Okay. First of all, we already have enormous success. We have some of the world's greatest games. I don't know what I'm talking about here, right? Games that were designed by young people from the northeast of England. They're the world's greatest, whatever they are. I don't know, right? Okay, right? But also about 8 years ago, right? About 8 years ago, I think it was about then. You'll remember this. We Newcastle and Gateshead bid to, as remember on Channel 4, were looking for a new home. And we, along with many other places around the UK, bid. And I remember going along on the day to the Tyneside Cinema. And I think it was Phil Redmond. you know, who was the writer for Brookside and that sort of thing, and a group of them came and made this presentation. And there were people came from all over the world, from all over the UK, who were absolutely passionate about the North East of England. They were from the North East of England. They loved the North East of England. Writers, directors, producers, post-production. God, again, it means nothing to us. But these are really highly paid people in dozens of professions. We weren't successful. And the feedback was that it wasn't because of the lack of talent, wasn't because of the lack of passion, it was that these people were employed elsewhere. They weren't employed in the North East. Right? And we do have production companies in the North East. We have 2 or 3 in Gateshead. There'll be others in Sunderland and elsewhere around the region. We've produced, you know, Vera, Wolf Blood, Biker Grove, whatever. All these things have taken place. They're likely lads, okay, right? Okay. Right. So we do have really strong productions taking place in the North East of England. But the vast majority of people, as Michael said, that they haven't. These are our people. They want to be here, but they're having to leave and travel around the world. Last year, we just had the Oscars this weekend. Last year, a lad from Gateshead, Peter Strawn, won an Oscar, the screenwriter for Conclave. Right? Okay. Right. Local lad who knows lots of people around Gateshead. Yeah. Absolutely the right thing. The economic benefits to the region, but the literally tens of, I think you're right, it's Nissan scale transformation. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I sense a forthcoming pub quiz round on things made in the North East. And so what we've had 28 years later, we've had Vera. If you want to do the games, Avatar, Assassin's Creed, both made in part in Gateshead. In terms of film and TV, the growth is absolutely astronomical. And what we're doing now is providing the infrastructure to get behind that and to say, you know, we're really serious about this. So I'm really delighted that we've reached this point. Unless there's any other questions or comments, can we accept the recommendations and crack on and get the thing built? Lovely. Thank you very much. Right, and the final mayoral development zone announcement in this paper is the Durham Innovation District. So this is really positive news for Durham and our ambition to bring more jobs to Durham and to provide really positive, vibrant space for high-tech businesses to start up, to scale up and to grow on the Akeley Head site in Durham. This will be our 3rd mayoral development zone in the region, and it's part of our commitment to speeding up how quickly we can deliver together and really make sure that we are improving people's lives with this. This is overall a £27 million package to regenerate that part of Durham and create a new quarter that is all about jobs and employment and opportunity right in the centre of Durham. But the £300,000 that we're investing now will be matched with Durham County Council so that we can crack on and get the business case sorted for Akeley Heads, which will ultimately mean a good pay packet for more people in County Durham and well beyond that as well. Henry, do you want to add anything to this?
Chair, yes, thank you. Just briefly, so this is slightly deja vu for me, but I do want to reiterate a couple of things. One is that this paper is proposing the creation of a new mayoral development zone, and as with the other 2 mayoral development zones that we have worked with Cabinet on, the same level of collaboration, joint assurance and project delivery in this case will be prioritising 2. You'll see in the paper it's not just about the local authority and the combined authority. The university is a really important part of that, the development partner that is already there for Akeley Heads. So there's a really good opportunity to get cracking quite quickly. And in terms of the investment that's proposed, you'll see that's largely in 2 parts, the capital investment. So the first is there really clear to support land remediation and initial infrastructure work to get the site prepared, with the promise to come back through to Cabinet in future subject to the right kind of assurance on the second half of that, which makes up the full number of 27 that you rightly introduced with. So again, thank you to the teams. This is really complex work, but in the end, we are investing to build the platform to make sure that we can get things done, just as we are across the board today, Chair.
Lovely, thank you. Andrew, do you want to come in as leader of Durham?
need to check this on. You see, I'm not very comfortable when I cannot see the little red light. I'm just like an hour chamber. I mean, yeah, it's a generational change, isn't it? And again, thanks as before to not just officers in Durham, but the Mayor's team for bringing this paper forward. Akeley Heads can actually be the jewel of the crown, I think, for the North East, if we get it right. I mean, it's been earmarked for years and years as a prime development site, and anyone who's been to County Hall, it is a unique, sophisticated city centre location, and can quickly become an extension of the city, which will naturally encourage a regeneration right the way down on the north end of the city as time goes by. It does send a really strong signal to the market and businesses that we are investing, obviously, to get the site prepared and develop out phase one. But it's more about the wider excitement for the region. It complements what we're doing at Net Park. The wider innovation district in its own, it supplements our political agenda as well. That Durham is very much open for business, so it's, you know, we can't welcome the news enough. So thank you.
Thank you. Joy?
I just want to touch upon, it sort of links to the things we've talked about today. The development zones within Durham and across the region are huge opportunities. But we know from experience that poor design creates long-term crime, antisocial behaviour in relation to transport, deaths and seriously injured. So I'd really strongly encourage early engagement with the PCCs and the police to embed secured by design principles from the outset. Often we get the plans and then comment on them, which is costly. So if we can do it early doors, so for roads, for housing estates, for retail, for the nighttime economy, even just car parks, if we design it out at the first initial stage, working with the planners, it would be really helpful because it would really reduce demand, reduce victims and keep people safe.
Thank you, Joy. Any other questions or comments? John?
Thanks, Kim. Yeah, I was just reflecting, I guess, during the break there about the agenda today and everything that we're discussing. And this seems like a good moment just to sort of share that reflection, if I may. And it's just to say that it does feel like a seminal moment for our region, this, doesn't it? This is about everything that we've been working towards, everything that we've been trying to achieve in the first 2 years of our devolution settlement. And in those 2 years, so much has been done. And it's obviously a lot about the high-profile stuff, the stuff that hits the headlines. But it's also that kind of relentless, often unseen work that goes on to kind of get us to this point, to take what was a strong deal on day one and turn it into something such as the agenda we're looking at today, which is a long list of investments and plans that are going to make a real difference to people, to communities and businesses. And if I look across the agenda today, there's so much that businesses will welcome. So whether it's from transport and skills to support for business and green jobs, visitor economy, the major developments, Crown Works, Gateshead Quays, Durham Innovation District, it really reflects the scale of the ambition that we've got together to grow the North East economy. And crucially, I think it also reflects on what can be achieved when we collaborate and when we work as that joined up team. So the business board that I chair and the business groups that represent employers of all sizes and sectors recognise and value that partnership and that shared ownership that leaders across the region have brought to this work. And none of us acting alone can solve the challenges or seize the full scale of the opportunities that are in front of us. But I think anybody with skin in the game in the North East working together, we can transform this region into one that really, really does thrive. And so I think just what I want to say in kind of summary on all of the agenda items today is, just on behalf of business, I want to welcome and thank every leader who's ever sat around this cabinet table, all of the officers who've supported them, and you, Kim, for your leadership of the Combined Authority, because as we move into the second half of this administration, the ask from business is really simple. It's to keep going, keep at it with that same level, if not deeper and stronger and more collaboration, because the agenda and the decisions that you as leaders are taking today are going to boost business and they're going to transform people's life chances in this region, and there's nothing more important than that. So thank you.
Thank you, John. Any other questions or comments on the item? So it's really well said, and we really appreciate the support of business in our endeavours, because these are really big decisions, really transformational decisions. And do you know what? We can't do it on our own. Public sector can't do it on their own. Business can't do it on their own. The charitable sector can't do it on their own. We have to come together to do it, and that's what this is all about. Okay, are we happy to agree the recommendations? Agreed. Lovely. Item 15 then. We are nearly there, honestly. But this is also a really important, lovely item for us, which is the North of Tyne Local Nature Recovery Strategy. Look, we've talked at length today, because we've talked about our visitor economy, we've talked about our local areas, about the fact that we've got beautiful natural landscapes to rival anywhere else in the country. And this strategy is basically just simply about how we protect them for long into the future and make sure that we reap both the ecological rewards from that, the economic rewards from that, and also continue to be able to live with that nature that we're all so used to, but none of us take for granted. So I'll hand over to Janet to take us through the report. Thanks.
Thank you, Kim. Local nature recovery strategies are designed to drive nature recovery to where it will have the most impact, setting out priorities for nature recovery. They offer an evidence-based approach to creating bigger, better and more joined-up habitats. The North of Tyne Local Nature Recovery Strategy covers Newcastle, North Tyneside and Northumberland. As a statutory document, it must be published under the Environment Act 2021 by the responsible authority, which in this case is the North East Combined Authority. We're working closely with two other local nature recovery strategies in the region, south of Tyne and Wear and Durham, which are led by Gateshead Council and Durham County Council respectively. These are following a similar timeline for publication as the North of Tyne Local Nature Recovery Strategy. Local nature recovery strategies will influence investments into our region's nature and environment and ensure that we prioritise nature recovery where the largest impact for biodiversity can happen. The strategy will also be fundamental to unlocking economic development by ensuring any offsets from planning and development stay within our region, such as through the biodiversity net gain. Many forms of engagement and consultation have occurred over the last few years during the development of the North of Tyne Local Nature Recovery Strategy. Landowners and farmers are identified as integral to the strategy's success, so have been consulted at various stages with early access to developing themes. A formal consultation was undertaken between November 25 and January 26, with over 600 comments received. These comments have now been welcomed, actioned, and the local nature recovery strategy is ready for publication. We'd like to thank the many organisations who contributed to the North of Tyne Local Nature Recovery Strategy. Of particular note, officers at Northumberland County Council have worked incredibly hard and at an incredible pace to get this strategy ready for publication. Northumberland have led this process from the beginning, and the expertise and cross-region coordination has produced an outstanding strategy that we can all get behind. So the Cabinet's recommended to approve the publication of the North of Tyne Local Nature Recovery Strategy, including publication of the results from the public consultation, and to authorise the Director of Economic Growth and Innovation, in consultation with the portfolio holder for the Home of Green Energy Revolution, to agree any final design-based amendments to the Local Nature Recovery Strategy as part of the publication process. Thank you.
Lovely, thank you very much. Any questions or comments on this? No? Excellent. Are we happy to agree the recommendations in the report? Excellent, thank you very much. Item 16, the all-important budget. I think the most important thing to say is that we are well on track, and that's that's thanks to the hard work of Mags and her team, because it's actually not that easy to spend this much money this quickly, and we're doing it very ably. Michael, as portfolio holder, do you want to take us through this? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kim. This Q3 budget monitoring update provides Cabinet with an important checkpoint on our financial position as we move towards the end of the 2025-26 financial year. What it shows is that the organisation continues to demonstrate a good financial position, with our core budget broadly on track and our interest income position performing significantly better than anticipated at the start of the year. The report also highlights the continued scale and breadth of delivery across the region, with more than £579 million of investment forecast this year across transport, skills, housing and regeneration programmes. This reflects the ambition of the Combined Authority and the collective efforts across all partners. This update supports our commitment to transparency and good governance. It ensures Cabinet has a clear oversight of budget performance in any areas where spend profiles are changing in response to programme delivery on the ground. With that introduction, Kim, I'll now hand over to Max Scott, our Director of Finance and Investment, to take Cabinet through the key points in more detail. Thank you.
Thanks, Michael. Max.
Thank you. Brief update from me this time, so I'm pleased to say there's very little change since the forecast that we provided at Q2. So briefly on the corporate budget, expenditure on our organisational running costs is forecast to remain in line with budget. The most significant variance, as Michael alluded to, continues to be on investment income. That is now forecast at £21.5 million for the year, up from a £19 million forecast at Q2. That continues to be driven primarily by interest rates remaining higher for longer than anticipated. That results in a forecast surplus of just under 18 million for the year. That will go into reserves, providing us with additional flexibility as to how future investments are funded. Turning to programme delivery, total delivery across both revenue and capital programmes for the year now forecast at £579 million. That's an increase of just over 12 million compared to Q2 forecast. The main changes in the revenue programme relate to an uplift in UK Shared Prosperity Fund, purely as a result of how funds invested in the South of Tyne area are reported, and reprofiling of some transport revenue spend into next year, which will be used for the development of Transport for City Regions capital schemes. On the capital programme, forecast spend for 25-26 has increased very slightly compared to Q2 forecast from 308 million to 309 million. That's a net effect of a small number of movements, but mainly the bringing forward of 6 million of the investment fund capital spend into 25-26 as a result of phasing of the underlying, the relevant project. And a movement of 10 million in the other direction from 25-26 into next year on the Brownfield Housing Fund, following approvals to extend programme delivery there. Finally, from a governance point of view, I can confirm that the combined authorities continue to be compliant with Treasury management policies throughout the year. Borrowing has reduced slightly. We've made some routine repayments. External borrowing at the 31st of December totalled 123 million. Our cash investment balance at 31st of December was 487 million, with amounts invested in line with our Treasury management strategy. So we continue to monitor closely through Q4 and will present the full year outturn to Cabinet in July. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Max. Any questions or comments on the budget? Lovely. Thank you very much. Are we happy to agree the recommendations in the report? Agreed. Excellent. And our final substantive item on the agenda today is the North East Combined Authority Adult Skills Programme. This is a really exciting moment for us. We said we wanted to transform the way skills were delivered in this region, and again, we're getting on with the job. Through £100 million worth of investment, we've already supported 70,000 people with their skills training to get them on the career ladder, get them back to work, get a promotion, or switch careers altogether. And this almost £250,000 will help us to go even further, especially as we create our green energy jobs workforce that will power the future, and we lean more into skills development in the culture and creative industries as well. It's also been brilliant that we've secured £7.9 million of funding that will be ring-fenced to support the region's construction technical excellence college. Say that 3 times with a glass of wine. So we can make sure that we've got the skills to build the homes of the future. We've got huge ambitions when it comes to this, to regenerating our communities and delivering the homes the region desperately needs. And that construction skills college will be absolutely fundamental to this. So I'll hand over to Tracy, the Cabinet member, to take us through the report. I just want to let Cabinet know that this is another report that has an appendix on the confidential section, so we can have a discussion as long as we don't delve into the detail of that confidential appendices, and we can make a decision on this, or if we need to progress to a conversation in private, we can do that too, but we'll make a decision as we go along. Tracy.
Thanks very much, Kim. Kim, this report presents the proposed North East Combined Authority Adult Skills Programme, a major component of delivering our Home of Real Opportunity mission. It outlines how we propose to utilise the full breadth of 244.8 million of devolved skills revenue and 7.9 million of capital funds, which are included in the skills and employment support pillar of the Combined Authorities Integral Settlement to deliver a sustainable and responsive skills and training offer across the North East. The Adult Skills Programme is central to delivering our Mayor's and Cabinet's vision for a more inclusive, fair and prosperous North East. This programme will underpin the North East Combined Authority's wider ambitions for the region, from reducing child poverty to making us the home of the green energy revolution. It will create stronger links between residents, employers and opportunities, helping more people into good jobs and supporting businesses to grow. Provision will directly align to key growth sectors in the North East Combined Authority's local growth plan, including sectors within the foundational economy and the 4 strategic priorities set out in our human capital strategy, New Deal for North East Workers. Extensive engagement has been undertaken in developing the proposal for the Adult Skills Programme. This has involved consulting with a range of stakeholders, including our regional further education colleges and constituent local authority skills leads. Consultation feedback has directly shaped the strategic approach and the proposed delivery structure, which firmly aligns this adult skills provision with our key sectors, generating stronger progression rates. The North East Combined Authority Integrated Settlement gives us an unprecedented flexibility over skills funding. It opens opportunities to work with more strategic and streamlined ways, enhancing the North East CA's ability to deliver impactful, regional-specific skills programmes. However, it also comes with great expectations in terms of outcomes we will need to deliver to guarantee further funding in the future. The proposed funds for the Integrated Adult Skills Programme will need to be deployed to support positive outcomes. This includes engaging those who are furthest from the labour market and addressing employment skills needs, but in all cases with a view to demonstrate impact through progression. This will mean an increased performance management regime to ensure value for money, a focus on progression, and to ensure all provision contributes to the outcomes and outputs associated with the North East Combined Authority Integrated Settlement Outcomes Frameworks. Continued consultation and engagement with our constituent local authorities, employers, providers and residents to gather strategic input and intelligence on how to drive impact and progression through this programme, and flexibility to ensure the programme responds to current and evolving strategic priorities and needs. Finally, I'm delighted to bring this ambitious and transformational adult skills programme forward and seek Cabinet's approval for the recommendations contained in the report. Thank you, Kim.
Thanks, Tracy. Any questions or comments on this? And I presume, are we happy to progress without going to the confidential appendices? Yep. Lovely. And we're agreed on the recommendations? Lovely. Well, thank you very much, everyone. Do you know what? There is not a single solitary day that I don't get out of bed in the morning and feel really proud to represent this amazing region and the brilliant people that live here. But today, in a day where we have agreed £350 million worth of investment in their future, in our future, in the future of this brilliant place, is, you know, it's remarkable, really. And so a huge thank you to all of you. What we've achieved together today is about creating jobs, it's about regenerating our region, it's about boosting our cultural economy, about creating a world-class public transport network, it's about being at the heart of the green energy revolution, attracting people to the best place in the world who wouldn't want to come here, and about upskilling the next generation. And absolutely none of that would be possible. This money is being spent at this rate for the benefit of the people of the region, in the hands of the people of the region, by a group of people with a direct mandate, wouldn't be possible without devolution. And while we've been talking today, the Chancellor's on her feet, giving the Mayor's lecture, and one of the things that she's committed to is further fiscal devolution. And what she said is she wants to allocate in the next budget a share of tax revenue, not increased taxes, but tax revenue existing to the regions that are the most capable of delivering it. And I'll tell you what, we will be at the front of that queue. We will be the people who are the most capable of delivering it. And we will spend that money for the benefit of the people in the region, shifting the balance from London and the South East so that we as a region can continue to thrive. So I think it's a really positive day for us. As I said, I think we can all leave today feeling really, really proud, and I'm grateful to all of you for the time and the energy, and also for sticking with us through such a long meeting, but I hope everyone will agree a very worthwhile one. The last thing to say is that the next meeting of the North East Combined Authority will take place on the 9th of June. Not in Blaydon, unfortunately, but in fact in North Tyneside. So I'll see you all then. Thank you very much.